Hey everybody, welcome back to Tech Odyssey. So today I'm here with my kind of week review of the Razer phone. So I did my unboxing video the other day and I've spent enough time with it now that I feel comfortable that I can go ahead and give my initial thoughts and impressions and do a quick rundown and a review of the device. So just a little bit of a backstory. If you're wondering why this phone is here on the right, this is the Nextbit Robin. And if you see some similarities, that's with good reason, because the Razer phone is kind of like a second generation Robin, except they got bought out by Razer. Nextbit, they created this phone and it was cool. It was revolutionary, some good patents and some technology in there, really cool. It was basically like not much storage on the phone, but it had like a lifetime 50 gig, I think it was 50, either 50 or 100 gigs of backup online. And as you needed and used things, it would pull them from the cloud versus having everything cluttered up on your phone. So it was neat. Well, Razer, if you're familiar with them, they make a lot of cool gaming products. They make keyboards, mice, all sorts of accessories and nifty stuff. If you're a gamer, you know who they are. If you're not, you've probably even seen their stuff over at Best Buy. It's usually all the flashy, cool red, green, and blue stuff, and it's nifty. Well, you can see the similarities here. So they didn't have their own phone, so they said, you know what, we're going to go out and buy Nextbit, and we'll take their technology and we'll build off of it and make a gaming phone, which was the Razer phone. And just so you can see some of the similarities here, they both have dual front-facing speakers. The cameras look very similar, and they're positioned very similarly. The screen size is a little bit smaller. I can't remember what this is. It might be 5.2, 5.3 inch. You've got 5.7, of course, on the Razer phone. Flip it over. Oh, look, there's a power button. Looks the same. Also doubles as a fingerprint sensor. Look on the back. Camera is similarly positioned, but this one doesn't have dual ones. And, of course, you get the Razer versus the Nextbit logo. And then over here, I mean, even the volume buttons, they look the same. So if you ever wonder where the Razer phone came from, that's its father, I guess. Father, mother, uncle, second cousin twice removed, whatever you want to call it. So here we are with the Razer phone. So before I get too much into it, I'll go ahead and give you a rundown of the specs. It's got a 5.7 inch display, which is Quad HD. It's got that cool IGZO screen, the LCD screen. So they didn't go with AMOLED, they didn't go with OLED, they went with a LCD screen, but it's got this cool technology in it. The way that the screen is made uses different metals, which makes it, one, more expensive, but two, it also makes it better. It's more energy efficient, and it replicates colors really well. It's got a 514 pixel per inch pixel density. It is running Android 8.1 out of the box. It just had an update the other day. When I first opened it up and I updated it, it went to the May security patch update, but it's got an update 2 days ago and it went to July. So we're at July security update on there. It has dual 12 megapixel cameras, one wide lens, one zoom. The zoom lens has a 2x optical zoom on it, which is really nice. I love optical zoom. So much better than electronic zoom, because electronic zoom, as you're zooming in, it's doing it digitally on your phone, which is why you end up with those crappy pixelated pictures and images whenever you zoom in. This one with the 2x optical zoom, if you hit that, it'll give you 2x the zoom, but you don't lose any of the clarity, which is nice. It does do video in 4K. It has an 8 megapixel front-facing camera. It's got the Snapdragon 835, which is last year's flagship processor. It's still really good. I think it's only about 10-15% slower than the 845, so you got that. It's got 64 gigs of internal storage, which for last year was amazing. Of course, it did come out in November, so it was a little further ahead of the power curve than other devices coming into 2018. But ample storage. It has an amazing 8 gigabytes of RAM, which I'll talk about that in a minute. It's cool that it has 8 gigabytes of RAM. Wholly unnecessary, but it is nice. USB-C, the fingerprint sensor is built into the power button, which is cool and I like. And it has a 4,000 milliamp battery, which is just ridiculous. Tons of battery, but if you have a gaming phone, you need the power. And then it has a 120 hertz screen. And of course, the dual speakers have Dolby Atmos. So great clarity, great volume. The screen, second to none whenever it comes to motion and blur and high performance video games. So super cool. So here we go. Got those dual speakers on the front. Like I said, the cameras, we already went through most of this. There's the buttons again. It really helps having a case on here because the buttons are so sleek. I have a hard time finding this, and it's not textured, so there's very little differentiation between the all-metal chassis and the fingerprint sensor. So actually having the case I've been using has the cutouts. It's a Spigen case. This, I think, is probably the best case for this phone that I've seen, and you can pick it up for like $10 on Amazon. I can't remember which one it is. Just go Type in Spigen Razer phone case on Amazon, you'll find it. So the fingerprint sensor, it's cool. It's kind of annoying sometimes because it's actually a button too. It's not just you push your finger on there, it's actually a button, so you have to push it. So you put your finger on there and rest while the screen's in standby mode, it doesn't do anything. So you have to push in on it, and then when you push in on it, it registers. So turn it off, you have to push in on it, it registers. So I mean, I like that because it's kind of like you get the tactile feedback when you push in on the button and it registers your fingerprint at the same time. But other than that, you know, if the screen is for some reason on like this and you press it, then it'll go ahead and do it without pressing the button in, but pretty much every time you have to press it. The operating system, it runs smooth. It's a very lightly skinned user interface of Android 8.1. It works well, and I haven't had any problems with it, but you can see there's some stuff installed that's Razer. You get the Razer clock, the calculator, contacts, the theme store. There's some of that stuff. I didn't really mess with any of that. I keep mine stock, and if you've seen my other videos or heard me before, I like leaving the background stock. I don't ever change them. You can get over here for the Google Assistant feedback stuff, so that's cool. You get the news feed. You swipe down, and you can get in here, so you can see the different quick settings. So you've got all the quick settings there. If you notice right here, it says Rambo Part 3. I have 3 different wireless networks. One of them's Rambo First Blood Part 2, and then Rambo 3. So if you're a Rambo fan, you might get a kick out of that. Switch for portrait mode, a battery saver, which, I mean, you should never have to use it with a 4,000 milliamp battery. Dolby Atmos, you can change it, and you can go to different types of pre-programmed sound or even custom, but you got voice, game, music. I just leave mine on music. So that's nifty. And then that's it for the quick settings. If you go into the regular settings, you can go in here and do a couple things. In the display, you can go in and turn Nightlight on and off. What this is essentially it's a blue light filter, and you take that and you drag it. Well, you gotta turn it on first. And there you go. So more blue light, less blue light. Oh, sorry, less blue light, more blue light. So you can do that. I have it off. I don't ever mess with it. You can schedule it though, which is nice and pretty common with a lot of phones nowadays. The other thing is the refresh rate. The refresh rate, super amazing. I don't know if you'll be able to tell much difference. I'll put it on 60 hertz here, and then I don't think it really matters that much in here, but I mean the screen resolution and the display is super great. The 120 hertz really makes a difference when you're watching a live video, especially when it comes to 4K, or you have a lot of action scenes or you're playing video games. You don't have all that blur, you don't have the choppiness. And the refresh rate, the way that works is basically it's refreshing at 120 frames per second instead of 60 frames per second. So at 60 frames per second, your eyes can't really tell too much of a difference image-wise, but whenever it comes to motion blur, they can, especially if you know what you're looking for. And that 120 hertz gives you twice as many frames refresh per second, so it just gives you that ultra smooth experience. It's got the game booster down here, which you can adjust custom power save and then performance, so you can crank this baby up and get the max power out of it. It does get a little warm while you're playing, not so much the back, but the screen. The screen does get a little warm to the touch, you'll be able to tell that. The speakers, I'll find something here, something music-wise. Here we go, since I seem to like listening to this song. So I'll turn this up, and you can hear how loud it is. There we go, that's a bad version. So, here, I'll get my mic and put it over here.
You were the shadow to my light, did you feel us? Another star, you fade away, afraid our aim is out of sight.
I'll fast forward. Alright, so I think it's probably about enough as far as the music goes. It does have really good quality sound. Not only does it have good volume, but it has really good clarity as well, which is super important. There's no distortion. When you get the volume up high, everything is represented really well, and it sounds great. It really is. It's a pleasure to use. Now, I heard all these stories about how super awesome loud they are. They do get loud, but then I got this phone after I got my Note 9, and the sound is just amazing on the Note 9. I think I'm going to do a comparison video between the Note 9 and the Razer. and I'll definitely compare the speakers. And you can see, like, I can't do it right now because I'm recording with my Note 9. Otherwise, I would just grab it and show you. But the speakers on the Note 9 also have Dolby Atmos, and they're amazing. But speakers on here, top notch. Now the camera is good, especially for this gaming phone. It's not exceptional. It's nothing to write home about. I have had the pleasure of taking a few pictures with it. If you've been paying attention to the weather lately, here down in Houston, it's rained pretty much nonstop for like a week. So every day since I've owned this phone up until today, it has rained. And I've also been at work, so I couldn't go out and I couldn't take any pictures. The next review, I'm going to have a whole album I'm going to upload to my Instagram. But it takes decent pictures. If you're not an avid, like, oh my gosh, I use my phone for my camera instead of carrying around a DSLR, then you'll probably be happy. Where you're not going to be happy is low light pictures are not great. HDR, but just leave HDR off. HDR doesn't work so great in this camera. And then selfies they're okay. I mean, I've taken like 4 selfies in the last, I don't know, 10 years, and that's just because I have to take them sometimes to test out the cameras, and I will be willing to show them, but I don't think anyone will look at my face, so I won't worry about sharing a selfie right now. But it's more than adequate. It's better than average, but it's not on par with the flagship tier. So if you're thinking you're going to get pixel quality, you're going to get Galaxy quality, iPhone quality, it's not there. It's like if you play fantasy football, like the cameras on like those phones, the ones I mentioned, the flagships are like tier 1 quarterbacks, and this is like a tier 2 quarterback. It's great when you have a good matchup. It's good when you have a bye week when you don't have your number 1 quarterback, but it's not always a starter. So I just kind of use that analogy in case you know anything about fantasy football, but 2, it's good, and I like the pictures that it takes. It has very natural color representation, which you get with an LCD. It's not oversaturated like a AMOLED screen or Super AMOLED. Those you get much darker darks. You get really saturated colors. LCDs typically you get better brightness. I will say this one's not overly bright. This is on full max brightness, and it may look okay. I mean, I've got the the ceiling fan. It's got the lights on, and you can see it's ample, it's adequate, but for an LCD, it's not overly bright. And I don't know how many nits it's at, but it's not overly bright. The contrast ratio is not overly amazing either, but I mean it's good, and it's great for playing games. Now, arguably there are better phones out there for playing games, with a caveat. There's nothing that I've found that's been able to slow down a Snapdragon 835, so the 845, which is only 10-15% more powerful, there's not really any applications out there that take advantage of that added power. So, and I had this discussion with somebody the other day, especially whenever it comes out to these, like the new iPhones with the A12, and it's supposed to be the most amazing processor ever. Well, if the A11 ran everything at 100%, you can't get higher than 100%. Something either runs at the way it's intended to, or it doesn't. And I haven't found any phone in the last year, maybe not the last 2 years, that has a Snapdragon processor or an Apple processor that can't run anything that you throw at it. So, and I've read some other things. Is it a gaming phone? Yeah, I mean, that's what it's designed for, but it's not the processor that gives you the gaming experience. It's the refresh rate on the screen. It's the high quality stereo sound with the Dolby Atmos. It's the way that they position this. You don't have to worry about hitting any of the buttons when you're playing games, which I do that all the time with my other phones. You don't have to worry about a virtual assistant button. The volume buttons are here, so you can hold it here. You don't have to worry about hitting the buttons while you're trying to play. You don't have to worry about hitting the power of the volume buttons up here while you're trying to play. So the phone is designed all the way around, and of course you've got the 4,000 milliamp battery. It's designed for gaming. Innately, are the specs in it anything better than some other phones? No, not power-wise, but it's the experience. So you get that near bare bones Android 8.1, which of course you've got a little bit of the Razer overlay, but really they have to because they got to make it flashy. But it doesn't really detract from the performance. You get 8 gigabytes of RAM, and with the RAM, it's really just a selling feature. It doesn't cost a whole lot of money to put 8 gigs instead of 6 gigs. You need more than 4. I don't think they could have called this a gaming phone with 4. They really can call it with 8, but there's nothing that you can load that takes up 8 gigabytes of RAM. And see, RAM used to be a big issue with Android phones back when there was like 3 gigs of RAM. Bump up to 4 was nice, especially depending like if you had LG software, you had Samsung software. They put so much stuff in there, it sucked up all the RAM. So then they only left you with like 1.5 gigs of your 4 gigs to use. So RAM was really important back then. 8 gigs of RAM, I could probably load everything at once on this phone and probably not fill up the 8 gigs of RAM. And if you're not using the RAM, it's not improving your performance at all. So if you have 6 gigs of RAM or you have 8 and you're only using 4, there will be zero difference whatsoever. So that's just a little rundown on the RAM. The 64 gigabytes of storage is more than adequate. You can, I think you can put an SD card in it. I don't know. I can't remember if you can put an SD card in here or not. I'll have to look. I'll update on the next review. But 64 gigabytes is adequate. I have no problems with that whatsoever. It's pretty good. It's got the USB-C charger on the bottom. It doesn't have a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. It comes with the dongle included, which works fine and dandy. It doesn't have wireless charging, so if you're a wireless charging fan, then you're going to lose out on that. I really am indifferent about it. It's good if it has it. If it doesn't have it, I don't really care that much. But some people do. It doesn't have an IP rating, so you don't get any dust or water resistance, so you don't want to try and play War Robots while you're taking a bath with this thing. Just don't take it anywhere near anything where there's a body of water. And also, one of the other downsides is there's just not a lot of accessories for it. Now, I did get the Spigen case, and I got the Spigen screen protector. The screen protector went on like a charm. It went on flawlessly. If you watch the installation video I have, if you're curious about getting one, maybe that'll help you out. And I got a 2-pack for like $8, so that was really good. Anyway, it's still available for $6.99 through Razer Store. If you're interested in one, I would hold off a little bit though. I'm reading the new Razer 2 phone is probably going to come out. I think they're going to announce it around October. Somebody told me, or I read somewhere it looked like maybe around October the 10th. So this one, I picked it up. They dropped it to $3.99 for like 3 days from $6.99. It was a really short window. I saw one. I went ahead and I snatched the opportunity. This is an amazing phone at $399. At $699, there are a couple other phones that you could make arguments for. Of course, you've got the OnePlus 6T that's about to come out. You've got the Pixel 2. You've got the Samsung Galaxy S8 you can get. The S9 is probably about on par. It's around $700 as well. They got a lot of sale deals on it too, especially with the Note coming out and then the iPhone coming out. So, yeah, it's not the most flashy. It doesn't have the cool bells and whistles like the Samsung interface. It doesn't have wireless charging. It doesn't have a water resistance rating. So there are some things that kind of take it down a little bit, but those are things I don't care about. It gives you good straight line speed. It's very lightly skinned. It's got battery for days. The pictures are adequate. The speakers are great. And really, it's just a solid phone. So if you can get one on sale, you pick one up resale through Swappa, or if you get it when the price drops again, I think that it's a solid phone and you'll be very happy with it. At $699, I would say hold off a couple of weeks and see if they drop the price back down, which I think they will, because they're going to want to move their brand new phones. So we'll see what the future holds for us with the Razer 2, but right now this is the Razer phone, and I think it's great. I'm thoroughly enjoying it, and hopefully this has been helpful. So I am going to do another video. I'll do a full review after I've been using it for about 3 or 4 weeks, so I can go back, follow up, hit some other high interest items so I can tell you about it. And then if you have any questions, please get back to me between now and then so I can test it out or give you some feedback between now and then. So thanks a lot. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button with the little bell so you get the notifications, and I'll see y'all next time.